Oh, I heard Randy Weston way back. I was aware of High Fly and Little Niles and Pam's Waltz and those tunes and whatnot. I was aware of him, but then he went away. Of course, which I later discovered was when he was living in Morocco. He went away, but then he came back, and he did this record called Blue Moses on CTI. And I was a big CTI fan at the time in the early 70s, because CTI was interesting to me because Creed Taylor had this stable of great musicians who kind of rotated and did all these records. So then this Blue Moses record came out, Grover and Freddie Hubbard and Hubert Laws and Billy Cobham and Ayrton, no brainer. I buy this, and I greatly enjoyed the record. So, then African Cookbook was reissued by Atlantic and Tangier came out on Verve. So Randy Weston came back into my consciousness. Well, for the Lost Jazz Shrines project in '98, I was engaged by 651 Arts to work with Randy to coordinate the restaging of his major work, Uhuru Africa. And part of that project was oral history interviewing Randy Weston and Leonard Gaskin and a few other Brooklyn guys. As I listened to Randy talk during the interview, I was fascinated by what a great storyteller he is. And I later learned that there was no book on him, just as there's not a book on a lot of great masters. And it was at a time when I had decided that I was ready to write a book and really wasn't sure what that was going to be. And so I broached the subject to him through his music director, TK Blue, Talib Kibwe, who was a very good friend of mine. Do you think Randy would be interested in having a book? And he said, oh yeah, he talks about that. And so, it developed from there. In 2000 and 2001, I started doing research and digging a little deeper into his life. And it was clear that at some point in this project, we had forged an agreement in 2001, but at some point in this project, I was going to have to go to Morocco. I was going to have to go to Africa in general, but Morocco in particular. I'd never been to Africa. And Memorial Day 2001, I'm sitting at home relaxing and whatnot. It's a holiday. Phone rings, it's Randy. I recognize the voice immediately. He says, you ready to go to Morocco? So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'll play along. Yeah, I'm ready to go. He said, okay, we leave next Thursday. So he had arranged through a Moroccan television crew who wanted to do a documentary on him. He had arranged for them to bring me along with him. And that was one of the reasons he agreed, if they brought me, to bring me along with him to interview him in English, because these guys spoke English, but they didn't speak fluent English. They spoke French or Arabic speakers. And so he arranged for me to come along on the trip, and that trip really sewed up our relationship, and it also sewed up a lot. It also opened up more of the depth of his story. Randy's place in jazz is as an underrated composer and as an underrated piano player as well, but also as probably the deepest, I like to use the word Africanist, in the history of this music. No one has delved more deeply into what he refers to and what he has me referring to as the spirits of our ancestors in this music. No one has delved more deeply, not even Yusef Lateef and some certain others of his friends have delved into the Africanness and the African root of this music and of the African American experience than Randy Weston. I mean, he has lived there, he has interacted with various different kinds of music, ranging from some of the spirit music brotherhoods of Morocco to Fela in Nigeria to others. And that aspect of his story is somewhat unknown, although he talks about it a lot in public. He talks about it incessantly in public. But that was one of the things that really makes him unique, is the depth of his experiences, particularly his experiences beyond this country. Because he's had a lot of unusual, and that's another aspect, is the fact that he's had some unusual experiences, and he talks about this, that he was never really a part of the so-called circuit in this country, playing the clubs around the country and whatnot. But he's been blessed to have experiences that others have not. Like, how many jazz musicians can say they played for the Archbishop of Canterbury in Canterbury? How many jazz musicians can say that they played the Kamigano Shrine in Kyoto, Japan, a place that had never even had a music performance, much less a piano in the place, before he went to play solo piano? You know, those kinds of experiences. How many people can say they've played for the King of Morocco and those kinds of things? So, you know, even going back to the first time he went to the continent, which was part of a cultural exchange that included people like Langston Hughes and others, he's had unusual experiences from a jazz musician perspective. Well, he's a very warm person, but he, much like me, is a bit of an introvert. But he's an introvert who is able to pull off a gregariousness that is unusual for someone of that nature. I remember when I interviewed Orrin Keepnews for the book, that was one of the things he pointed out, that Randy is this introvert, but this not a recluse. You know, he's an introvert and he's a shy person. And that's one of the things that we vibed on, is being kind of shy people and being tall people. You know, the one aspect that we both really connected on. The most challenging part was pinning him down, and that's one of the things that's taken some time. Because, you know, the way we worked is we would do these extensive interviews. But he's a man who's on the move a lot. He's not sedentary. And like I say, a lot of his work is overseas. And then, of course, he has a wife who, at the time we were working on the book, was still living in Paris. So he was over there a lot. And so it's not as though I could just get on the train and go up to Brooklyn anytime I wished and find him there. Or it's not as though he was coming to play Blues Alley or the Kennedy Center or coming to play some club in Philadelphia or whatever, and I could connect up with him. He's kind of mercurial in that respect. So it took some time. But we would do these extensive interviews. And each time I interviewed him, even after years of interviewing him, each time I interviewed him, he would reveal something that was new. You know, for example, one time, this was years into our interviews, he just casually revealed that he had had this long-standing relationship with Ruth Ellington, and that he and Ruth Ellington almost got married. And so that took me down a deep road with the relationship with Duke and all that. So, you know, and he would just casually throw, these were not like major revelations. He would just casually throw these things off, and that would take us down another tributary. And so we do these interviews, and I would send him the transcripts. He would read the transcripts, and he would, if there was certain things that he didn't want included, he would edit that out. Or if there were certain things he wanted said differently, he would edit that. And basically, I was at liberty to craft this in my own way.
Volando para arriba, high flying, high flying, high flying, míralo. Sube, sube, para arriba, para arriba.